good evening. It is Friday night. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of stepping into your life and speaking to you about different topics as you go through the life transition of divorce. My goal here always is to help you, guide you through this very difficult time in life, this messy, messy transition. So, tonight I wanted to talk to you about a topic that I think perhaps you can relate to. First, I gotta get my announcements in. Always forget that. January 11th, if you have gone through a divorce and you are trying to redesign or create and build a new life, this is the event for you. It is going to allow you to go through every aspect of your life and really make some great decisions of the things that you no longer want to keep in your life and the things that you want to keep in your life. There are some good things that you want to continue, but there's a lot of things that just don't fit anymore. And it is time to shed those. It is time to have a plan so that you're not floundering any longer. One thing I know about divorce is that it has wasted enough of your time and your life. And now is the time to be intentional. So we want to do that. If you want to hear more about it, I'm going to do a webinar on the 4th at 7 o'clock. We'll just talk about what is going to take place in the 10 weeks of life coaching after divorce. But if you're in the thick of it, in the middle of it, or maybe even beginning this process, that's not quite for you. What is for you is a support group that is starting January 10th. If you are in the Grand Rapids area, we will do it in person. But if you are across the country and you have internet, you are welcome to join us. Just request a registration form and I will get that to you. And we will start the journey, the process of healing. And it can't come soon enough, I know, for all of you who are in that situation. So tonight's topic is one maybe a little different than I've done before, but peacekeeper or peacemaker, and the difference, and to know the difference as we go through this process of divorce and transition and change. We're learning a lot, whether we like it or not, about boundaries. We are learning that we don't have solid boundaries, or maybe we're learning that we have good boundaries and we are strengthening our skill in that. But there is one topic that I think might be helpful to just explore for a minute, and that is being a peacekeeper or a peacemaker. There's a big difference between the two. And I am a domestic mediator, so I consider myself a peacemaker, and I'll explain the difference in just a moment. And I am, that's my goal, is I want peace in the world, and I certainly want peace between the couples that I mediate with. And when I talk to them, I say, you're not going to get everything that you want as you go through the divorce process. It just doesn't happen. But hopefully you can get what you need. And that is a huge part of the process. What do you need to survive, to continue on? So are you a peacekeeper or a peacemaker? So let's talk about the difference. A peacekeeper is someone peace at all cost. I'm going to sacrifice myself for peace because we need peace. And besides, I'm a people pleaser, and I can't stand the thought of someone being unhappy or unhappy with me. So I'm going to keep the peace. Well, really what I'm doing is I'm just transitioning or taking that war, that conflict, and I'm taking it inside of myself, and I'm hurting myself. It's not healthy to be a peacekeeper. It is someone who is codependent, someone who is always a people pleaser. That is not healthy for you if you are always sacrificing yourself to make everyone else happy. And I'm not talking, there are situations where you do sacrifice yourself to make people happy. If you're a mother or father, you do that. That's not what I'm speaking of. What I'm speaking of is when there's conflict or something is not going well, that you are the one to sacrifice to make the peace. I don't think we're ever meant to be a doormat or a codependent or someone who's always a people pleaser. Life is hard, and sometimes truth is difficult to face. And it's not my job to cushion the truth. However, I can say it with grace, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So that's a little bit of what a peacekeeper is, the difference. A peacemaker is someone who seeks peace for all involved. The goal is peace and the good for all. We want everyone to be at peace, to get what they need, not necessarily everything they want, but what they need. So we're seeking peace, but we are not sacrificing ourselves for that peace. So the truth is, many of us don't handle conflict well. We just don't. We weren't trained how to do it. We didn't have good examples on how to do it. We saw anger. We saw people who scream. We saw people who threw things. We saw bad tempers. Or maybe you were a fortunate person to live in a household that conflict was handled well. It is a skill. It is a skill. And I do not like conflict at all. And yet, through training and understanding, conflict can be a great opportunity for growth between the people that are in the conflict. And that's true in a corporation, and that's true in a relationship. So we, as we are becoming single, we need to discover, am I a peacekeeper or am I a peacemaker? And which one am I? Which one do I want to be? Do I really want to take the war and put it inside of me and be the sacrificial lamb? No. In some cases, that's detrimental to everyone involved. That's enabling. And that's not healthy. What we do want to do in all conflict is we want to speak the truth in grace, with grace. That is the key. That is the key that the scriptures teach us. God never denies the truth, but he gives it with grace. He is, where's my verse here? Grace and truth. For the law was given through Moses. That's the Old Testament. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. He loves the people that he ministers to right now. He loves, whether you're rejecting him or not, he loves you. And he has grace. He wants to teach you with grace, but he'll never deny the truth. It's impossible for him to. So we need to understand the difference, or not the difference, the joining of grace and truth. So grace without truth is not grace. You can't have grace and overflowing with niceness without truth. And truth without grace is hurtful. We could speak truth, and probably have, as you're going through this experience, without any grace at all. But we will learn as you go through, as you work with me for 10 weeks, as we go through the life coaching after divorce, how to combine the two, how to stand up in truth and do it with grace and without apology. So what situation comes to mind that you're in right now, or that you have been, that's still unsettled? And how do you speak the truth in love with grace? Scriptures say, do all that you can to live in peace with everyone. Everyone, even your enemies, even your ex-spouse. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I love that verse. Of course, being a mediator, which is a synonym for peacemaker as well. So these are just some thoughts to think on how you're approaching conflict and the situations that you find yourself in. How do I speak the truth? And that's true with our children too, and we're dealing with them and going through the divorce. How do I speak the truth, but wrap it in grace so that it's not hurtful, so that it doesn't hurt people, even with our former spouse? How do we wrap the truth with grace? We don't bend over backward. We don't compromise the truth or our core values, but we are kind in how we approach it. You can stand firm in kindness by simply stating the truth and not arguing. You state your truth and you let it lie. You don't have to prove it. That's your truth. It's such a skill. But when you see it in action, it is amazing to watch because there's nothing weak about it. In fact, it is very powerful. And that's exactly what it was intended to be, and why God tells us to speak the truth with grace. So it's the end of the year, and this is my final Friday Night Live for 2022. Thank you for those of you who have watched throughout the year and have been joining me this month when I've held videos throughout the month of December to help you get through the trauma of divorce and the Christmas season, which can be difficult to do. But I am honored that you would spend your time with me, and I thank you, and I just hope and wish God's greatest blessing for you. He has a blessing for you in 2023. It does require that you open yourself up for it. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, leading you, guiding you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce.